Here we have the perfect page getting ready to go with this Batman logo. Now, I have put on the screen and I've centered it so it's centered down the middle of the art board, and this line helps it center it to a center point of reference. If I click off on this Batman, you can see I've got half a Batman and some ovals out in here. So the Batman logo is what we're going to make here, and we're going to assume that that Batman logo perhaps came from a drawing, or I was at a meeting with the people who want this logo and took a piece of paper out and began to sketch what it is they wanted, refined that sketch, and then turned it into a computer image by scanning it onto onto my computer here as an Illustrator page. Now it's solid ink here, and what I'm going to do is use this as my template or a tracing situation to complete this Batman logo. Now if I get a little closer here, you can see that it's just it's a not a fill but a stroke line that has created all of these images here to include this half a Batman and these ovals on the outside. Now I'm going to make that my template or tracing pad by selecting all of these. Remember too, my guides have been locked. I'm going to make these guides. These lines here, I'm going to turn them into guides by going Command 5. And there they are, and they are locked. I can't get them, I can't move them. Now the idea behind this is that I have something to trace using my curve line drawing ability to draw half a Batman logo. Now half is because it's symmetrical, and I can just copy one half and make an additional duplicate, flipped it on this side and join them together, and I have the complete unit. I don't have to draw both sides. So here we are with the stroke is black, and I take my pen and I'm going to start here, and it starts and stops on this center line, and that's important because I need this line to be very straight and true when I join the two halves together. So I start here at the top of the head and click and release, and with the syncopation of curved line drawing, I come out here, and this line is a little curved, so it's a little down, and I match the line to the underneath dotted line and release it. Then I click on the last anchor point to rejoin the line, come up to the top of the ear, which is another slightly curved line, click and release the handle. Then I'm clicking in this last anchor point, and this curve in here is going to take 3 moves to get around it. So I come about a third of the way down, click and hold it, and match to the dotted line, release the handle, come back and click on the last anchor point, come across another third and pull the line to match my sketch lines, my dotted lines, release it, come back, click on the last anchor point, come to the point of the tip of the wing and pull that segment and get it to match. Alright, now I've got this long curving wing end here to go around, so there again it's going to be 3 moves. Click on the last anchor point, come about a third of the way, click and define the line to the dotted line, release it, click on the last anchor point, come down another third, click and hold and get that to match the line, and click and release it, click on the last anchor point and come to the tip of the wing here and complete that segment. Alright, now this inside curve is going to take 3 moves, so I'll click on the last anchor point, come about a third of the way, match it. Click on the last anchor point, come another third of the way and match that. And then click on the last anchor point and come down to this point of that wing and just match that slight curve. Now this curve I can do in 2 moves. It's a longer curve, but it's not quite as curved as that one was, so I'll click on the last anchor point and come about half of the way here and match it. Now here's a critical point. I'm going to click on this last anchor point, but I have to make sure I'm right on that vertical center guideline here when I click here and pull to that, because that's the tail, that's the lowest point of my bat, and then it has to match, because from here, click on the last anchor point to connect. I'm going to go straight up, and I'm going to hold the shift key down so I get a very straight perpendicular line. See that little circle show up by the pen point? That means I'm closing this shape. Click, and now I have my half a bat. Now, it's a stroke, so I'm going to change it so that the fill is black and the stroke is nothing. Bring the black forward. And if I click away, you can see I have half a bat logo here. Now, experience and time and doing this several times on several projects will get you to be able to draw this shapes very well. The fact that we have a template helps us. The template doesn't have to be perfect because we can make our lines perfect as we go around and make these lines join each other so that they don't kink or there isn't a bend in it the wrong way. All right, now here is the half a bat. I'm going to take this reflect tool right here and I'm going to put it right on this line so that when it flips exactly on this center line. There's my cursor for that tool, and I'm going to put it so that it's exactly halfway on the line there. Holding down the option key, that is the trigger key, to get this started, and click once on my mouse. That brings this reflex button or box, and it automatically or by default comes up vertical 90. That's going from left to right. I want vertical 90. If I was going from top to bottom, I would select horizontal and 180 degrees, but I'm going vertical 90, and I want to copy. Don't OK that, or just the original will flip and still be there just flipped. The copy gives the original stays, and you get the other side. Now, if we've done this right, if I click away here, you won't see any white gap in there. And they'll join together. If I select both halves of the bat and go up here to the Pathfinder, and the trigger key here is the control key, and click on this add button or unite button, see that blue line goes away. It's joined together. Now, in reality, if I click on this, you see there's a tiny little gap right in there. That you can fix with a patch. Or perhaps you have a more wider gap. One way to do it is to select the left half and with the right arrow, just maneuver it over and touch it over to the right. You have to watch the tail here so that that matches itself up. But I've got a tiny little gap there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a patch. And I'm going to go up here and make the patch just inside this black line and coming down and now closing on the patch. Now when I take the bat and the patch and say control command key and the unite button again, see they melt all together and now there's no more line in there whatsoever. It's just right there. If you have crossed over on the bottom here, you might want to get really close to that tail. See what's going on with the tail? It switched over or overlapped. So go out of color, Command Y, and see where your anchor points are. Get your white arrow so you can deal with one anchor point at a time. Deselect the unit and click again on the edge so you get hollow points here. Now the thing is that I need to get rid of some of these anchor points because they're not needed anymore. So there's another tool that's valuable. It's in the drawing pen tool, and it's this group of tools here. This pen with a minus subtracts anchor points. You put the point of the pen right on that anchor point, and it goes away. And if I don't want this one, it goes away. And if I don't want this one, it goes away. Now I have these two left, and I'll take my white arrow and I'll select one of these and I'll just move it over to that center line and make sure the other one is right on top of it. Alright, so now I've made my tail come down and make a nice end there. Remember, I've gotten very close to this. I'm 1,400% enlarged there. So if I hit Command 0, that puts my page back so I can see it. Remember I went out of color. So Command Y brings me back in color, and I've fixed that tail so there isn't that little scraggle and twiggle on there, so it's going to be clean. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do, I don't need my pinpoints anymore. I'll get a little closer so we can see it better. I need to put an oval around the outside of that of this bat, and the way I'm going to do that is deselect everything so nothing is fired up. Go back to a black stroke. The fill is now nothing and the stroke is black. And I'm going to take my oval tool, come to the very center of the, you can see that little X right there. If you can't see it, go out of color again. Command Y and come right to the center. hold down just the um, I'm sorry, the option key. Just hold the option key down, and that will grow your oval from the center out. Now, you have to match that center line of those three dotted ovals out there. Match the center one, and get it to be the north and the south and the east and the west, pretty much where it is right there. Okay, now remember that is a stroke. Go back to color, Command Y, and we're going to treat this stroke, and I've got my stroke open. It's 1 point stroke. You see that 1 point stroke right there? I'm going to start upping that, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to make it fairly thick and get it to the point where the black is a little greater than this negative white right there. I'm there now. I'm at 17 points. You'll be at whatever size you've worked on your logo. Now, let me explain what I've got here. I've got a stroke that's been fattened by 17 points. That means half of 17 is on the outside and half of 17 is on the inside of this blue line. The blue line is the controlling path. I don't want a path here. I want an actual shape. And there's a way to change a path to a shape. Follow me on this. You go up to, you have this selected. You go up to Object because you're dealing with an object, this oval. And you're going to go down to Path because you're going to change the path to a shape. And so we're going to Path. And what we're going to do is we're going to change that stroke to an outline. An outline equals a shape. I don't know why it's backwards, outline stroke, but it's going to be the stroke goes to an outline. So you go to Object, Path, and slide over to Outline Stroke and let go of the button. Okay, look what's happened. The stroke is gone in the middle here, and there's a blue line on the outside and on the inside of this shape. And notice here it's changed from a black stroke to a black fill. So no more stroke anymore, it's the fill. And it is a universal proportion scaled oval that fits the ratio or the oval of these wings. That was predetermined, and those dots that I gave you made that happen. All right, the last thing to do is to put a yellow oval behind this bat to give it some color. Right now there's nothing there because we're looking through it at a white paper. Okay, so I'm going to go over to, deselect this so that it's not affected. Go over to my swatches and pick this yellow right here in the swatches, preset yellow. You see now I have a yellow fill. I go to my oval tool again, come back to that center, hold down the option key only so it grows from the center out. Now I have to make an oval that just fits inside the black. The black is going to be in front of the yellow, so it will override, or it will set over the yellow. So the yellow just has to be, like I've got it halfway into the black. When I let go of my mouse, I get a yellow oval. Now that's the last thing I made, so it's the first layer I see. That layer has to go all the way to the back. So hit the 3 keys, Command, Shift, and left bracket, and that will put that oval all the way to the back. And when you get through with that, and when you click away, you have finally created this Batman logo with a yellow backdrop with the black oval and the black bat. You could go back later to the yellow and select that yellow and use a gradient, maybe have a light yellow, whitish yellow, a medium yellow, orangish yellow, and give the background a bit of a three-dimensional look. I'm not going to take the time now to do that, but you might play that with your gradient tool on that yellow oval. But as it sits now then, if I back off Command 0 and I see the page, here is my Batman. If I want to hold it together, select all 3 units and group them with a Command G, and now they're all grouped together. When I select one, I get them all. Now this is using curved line drawing. It's using the reflex tool to take half of that unit and move it over, and then you join them together with the Command key and the Unite button up here in Pathfinder, and then do the stuff with a oval stroke becomes an oval fill, and we have a shape back here that's an actual real shape, and then the yellow oval behind the background. That's the way to put together the Batman logo.